Hello there, my name is Thiago and this is Inglês Everywhere, the podcast that helps you improve your English. I want to invite you to join me every week to take you to the next level, listening to all kinds of stories, fictional and non-fictional, as well as interviews. Welcome to Inglês Everywhere. Olá, ouvintes do Inglês Everywhere. No episódio de hoje, vocês irão ouvir a história de Peter Pan. Lembrem-se de que é importante ouvir mais de uma vez, principalmente se você ainda estiver nos níveis mais iniciais de aprendizagem do idioma. Não é necessário entender todas as palavras, mas que vocês se permitam ouvir e entender pelo contexto. Observem que nos episódios de contação de história, eu modifico sempre a minha entonação de voz para os personagens e eu acrescento os efeitos especiais para que vocês possam mergulhar na história. Vamos então às palavras que eu selecionei dessa história. A primeira palavra é shadow, ou shadow, que significa sombra. Na mesma frase, vocês vão ouvir também o verbo stick to. To stick to significa aderir, ficar junto, grudar. A frase que vocês vão ouvir na história é a seguinte: I'm crying because my shadow won't stick to me. É uma frase que Peter Pan vai falar logo no início da história. Outra palavra que eu selecionei é o adjetivo miserable. Eu selecionei esse adjetivo porque ele soa como miserável, mas aqui na história ele tem o sentido de muito triste. Okay? Normalmente é utilizado nesse sentido e não como miserável. A frase que vocês vão ouvir na história é: The Lost Boys looked so miserable that she changed her mind. Então eu gostaria de pedir para vocês acessarem o nosso Twitter, o Instagram, ou enviarem mensagem de voz através do link que está na descrição do episódio. Vamos então à história de Peter Pan. Once upon a time in London, the Darlings went out to a dinner party, leaving their 3 children, Wendy, John, and Michael, at home. After Wendy had tucked their younger brothers John and Michael to bed, she went to read a book. She heard a boy crying outside her window. He was flying. There was a little fairy fluttering around him. Wendy opened the window to talk to him.
Hello, who are you? Why are you crying?
Wendy asked him.
My name is Peter Pan. I'm crying because my shadow won't stick to me,
he replied. She asked him to come in. Peter agreed and came inside the room. Wendy took his shadow and sewed it to his shoe tips. Now his shadow followed him wherever Peter Pan went. He was delighted and asked Wendy,
Why don't you come with me and my fairy Tinkerbell to my home, the Neverland? You could be my mother and take care of us.
Wendy said,
Oh, what a wonderful idea. Let me wake John and Michael up too. Could you teach us how to fly? Yes, of course. Wake them up and we will all fly together,
Peter Pan replied. 5 little figures flew out of the window of the Darlings and headed towards Neverland. As they flew over the island, Peter Pan told the children more about his homeland.
All the children who get lost, come and stay with Tinkerbell and me. I am their captain,
Peter Pan told them.
The Indians live over there, and the mermaids live in the tidal pond. There are also pirates, led by Captain Hook.
Wendy gasped in surprise. But Michael and John wanted to see the pirates immediately.
Captain Hook's the cruelest pirate ever. He keeps troubling everyone,
Peter Pan cautioned.
However, he's scared of the crocodile. The crocodile bit off Hook's hand and liked it so much that it follows him everywhere hoping for more. Luckily for Hook, The crocodile swallowed a clock that goes tick-tock and warns Hook when the crocodile is nearby,
explained Peter.
Oh my!
Cried Wendy, uncertain about whether she really wanted to stay in Neverland. Soon, they landed on the island, and Peter took them all to his house in the woods. Through a hidden door in an old tree they entered. When the lost boys saw Wendy, they shouted,
Hooray! Will you be our mother? I'm only a little girl.
Wendy answered.
I can't be your mother.
The lost boys looked so miserable that she changed her mind.
Okay, you guys, I'll give it a go. I'll try hard to be the best mother possible.
A few days passed and they settled into a routine. Wendy took care of all the children during the day and went out with Peter Pan and her brothers in the evening to learn about the island. She cooked for them and sewed new clothes for them. She even made a lovely new dress for Tinkerbell. One evening, as they were out exploring the island near the mermaid's pond, Peter Pan yelled,
Hide, hide, pirates, take cover!
The boys ran away, but Peter Pan and Wendy hid. They could see that the pirates had tied up Tiger Lily, the Indian princess. The pirates had left her on a rock in the pond. Peter Pan was afraid that Tiger Lily would drown when the tide came in. Then Peter Pan came up with an idea. In a voice that sounded just like Captain Hook's, he shouted,
Set her free! But Captain, you ordered us to bring her here,
yelled the pirate.
Let her go!
Peter Pan replied, mimicking Captain Hook's voice. The pirates did just like they had been ordered. The pirates set Tiger Lily free. She swam rapidly back to the Indian camp. When Captain Hook found out what had happened, he knew that Peter Pan had deceived his pirates. Captain Hook became furious. That night, Wendy told the boys a story about 3 children who left their parents and flew to Neverland. Their parents missed them very much. The youngsters adored Neverland. However, they always remembered their home.
Did they ever go back?
Asked the lost boys.
Oh yes,
Wendy replied. They flew home to their mommy and daddy, and everyone was happy. The story made Wendy, John, and Michael homesick. The next morning, they decided to fly back home.
If you come back with us,
Wendy told the lost boys,
I'm sure our mother and father would adopt you. Hooray!
shouted the boys, jumping with joy. Wendy asked Peter Pan if he and Tinkerbell would come home with them too. But Peter Pan didn't want to live where grown-ups could tell him what to do. He was very sad that his friends were taking off. At any rate, he needed to make sure that the youngsters arrived home safe and sound. So, he asked Tinkerbell to help them out on their journey back home. In the morning, Tinkerbell and the children left their house under the woods, but Captain Hook's pirates were hiding nearby. They captured all the children, tied them up, and marched them towards the pirate's ship. Tinkerbell escaped and hurried back to tell Peter Pan what had happened.
It's Hook or me this time,
yelled Peter Pan to Tinkerbell as they flew off to rescue Wendy and the boys. On the pirate ship, Captain Hook demanded,
Who wants to become a pirate?
The boys shook their heads.
Then make them walk the plank,
Hook roared. The boys tried to look brave, but they were afraid. All of a sudden, they heard the tick-tock of the crocodile. Now, it was Captain Hook's turn to be afraid. However, The tick-tock they heard didn't come from the crocodile. It was Peter Pan who was mimicking its sound. He flew onto the deck and shouted,
"I've got you now, Hook."
Captain Hook jumped up and swung his sword at Peter Pan, but he was quick and stepped away. Now, Peter Pan swung his own sword at Captain Hook until they got to the edge of the ship. Peter Pan moved with his sword and Captain Hook fell into the sea where the crocodile was waiting for him. And that was the end of Captain Hook. Everyone rejoiced as Captain Hook was out of their lives for good. Eventually, everyone headed back to London. Mr. and Mrs. Darling were happy to see their children again, and they agreed to adopt the lost children. They even asked Peter Pan to come and live with them. But Peter Pan said,
"I'm going to stay in Neverland, where I never have to grow up."
Peter Pan and Tinker Bell waved goodbye, and they flew home to Neverland. Thanks for listening. Follow us on your favorite streaming service and Instagram at Inglês Everywhere to make sure you won't miss the next episode. See ya!